The first one is they thought there was going to be a permanent congressional minority. A permanent, think about it, the population going to the north meant they'll have a minority in the House, and by 1860 there were more free states than slave states, as they saw it a permanent congressional minority. So eventually they will lose power. There's still a significant number of Democrats in the north, but there are a lot of free soil Democrats and now the new Republican Party. Next, this free soil movement, as they all knew, were a bunch of John Browns, and they're coming to kill them. You have to be pretty radicalized to believe that Abraham Lincoln, the moderate of all moderates when he was elected, was John Brown. And then, here's the biggie, and this is why it's italicized. If the Republican Party can win, Lincoln could help establish a Republican Party in the South. Appoint Republicans to government jobs, important jobs like the post office in the South, or customs collector, tax collector. And that could be a Trojan horse. And you can do it through patronage, which is the giving of government jobs. This could be a free soil Trojan horse in the South to undermine the slave system, perhaps trigger rebellion and weaken pro-slavery forces. Arguably, this is the biggest single reason. It wasn't so much Lincoln, it was that Lincoln can now create Republicans. And if we wait one day, it's too late. And so, as they saw it, tomorrow they're going to get us. We know it. They're going to destroy our system, ban slavery, trigger slave rebellion. You go through all their fears. So as they saw it, this was a preventative strike. They're going to do it. Not preemptive. There's no evidence, they had no evidence, that the North was going to strike. We know that isn't true. They said someday they will, we just know it. So as they saw this, it was a defensive war, and a just and defensive war. And don't forget, secession meant war. And if they wait, they might not have another chance at return. So it's implying they can see the future. And you can imagine all the secessionists were greatly exaggerating the threat of the North and Lincoln to get them to go to war. This is exactly the same reason that Germany would use for why they would start a series of events to convince Austria to go to full-scale war, which would start World War I. If we wait, our enemies, Germany was France and Russia, are going to get stronger every day. World War I would begin a chain of events that, well, would trigger Armageddon and would go on to this day. And the thing is, you can't see the future. So this is really dangerous stuff, but we'll never have another chance. So they see it as just and defensive. Now, after the war, they will take this and say, the North attacked us, we were doing nothing. But they didn't see it that way. They saw it as a strike, a defensive strike, an attack now. So, here's a couple cartoons. I like this one, Secession, cutting off the limb. These are Unionist ones. This is my favorite. This is Secession. Peacemaker was a famous cannon. And there's South Carolina firing the cannon. And to find the results, you can see where the cannon is aimed. So, meaning what's going to happen. I thought that was kind of clever. And just to review, I showed you this yesterday, but South Carolina, their immediate causes of secession, hostility towards slavery. In Mississippi, to protect the institution of slavery. A blow to slavery is a blow at commerce and civilization. If there's any doubt why the South seceded, today, all you have to do is look to what they said there, to protect slavery. So I imagine it'd be quite a shock to people in 1861 if they told you seceded to stop tariffs or something like that. No, it's slavery. So secessionitis would soon take over. You'll notice South Carolina, and then get a few more all the way through February. But look, why did they secede? Look at all these things. Look at the similarities between the sections. Think about it for a second. Both the North and the South basically have the same language. I know if you get somebody from Boston and someone from Georgia together, they might sound like they're speaking 3 different languages. But why not, right? But they same basic language. Most people in the North and a plurality of people in the South had British ancestry. They're kind of the same ethnicity, same culture. They're mostly Christians, even though I know the Protestant Catholic issue. They had the same money. They had the same screwed up, but banking system. They all had the same kind of things. The founding fathers of the South were the same as the founding fathers of the North. They both looked at George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, North and South. They had the same basic history. And what did they refer to themselves? Citizens of the United States after Tippecanoe and the War of 1812 called themselves what? Americans, North or South. Most reasons for civil war are one of these, especially this identity or religion, history. All these, those didn't exist. Why would they fight? Oh, sure, I gave you the immediate causes, but why would it be such a bloody fight where almost 900,000 Americans probably died? The differences was ideology. This map, the lighter colors are the areas with the greatest percentage of slaves, and these were the representatives that voted for slavery. Remember the Southern ideology. What is that idea that slavery is good and civilizing is better than the system in the North? What was that called? Positive good theory. What was it Northern? Becoming the Northern ideology, that Republican idea that capitalism should be spread because it creates opportunity if you have initiative. And you can go as far as you can take, and the Southern system stifles opportunity. That's free labor. What a great hint. Ideologies would be such a big issue. If you believe it to be true, it's true. And how dare you go against what I believe? In fact, that's a way to look for enemies. You don't believe what I believe, then you're the enemy, especially in the South. Because part of their ideology, free soilers were John Brown. That's what we call another hint for tomorrow. Did you catch my hint? Was that subtle enough for you? I tried to be subtle. All right. So Buck Buchanan is president. And the thing of, okay, I like Buck Buchanan. You're just going to have to take it. He was one of my heroes as a kid. That's Super Bowl 1. I got bad news for you. I know you're all thinking, well, did the Chiefs win? No, the Chiefs did not. They won Super Bowl 4. And they've also won a few recently. Join the bandwagon. There's Buchanan. And he said it's unconstitutional to secede. So when South Carolina left, he said, how dare they secede? That goes against the Constitution. And then what's the next question? So what should the U.S. do? It's unconstitutional to stop them. Yeah, that's leadership. Did you see the problem? And then he literally hid under his desk, fearful of assassination. I'm really not exaggerating. And so the president did nothing, and that encouraged not only the rest of the Deep South to go, but remember what Andrew Jackson did at nullification. He said, I will personally lead the army to stop the traitors. Here, he hid under his desk. At the time, they needed a good president, and they got him. He would just want to get out of the office and go home. He was done. And so there'd be a couple attempts at compromise before Lincoln ever became president. John J. Crittenden of Kentucky proposed extending 3630 to the Pacific. Remember that the old Missouri Compromise line? Went nowhere. Because Free Soilers said no. There was a proposal of the 13th Amendment to protect slavery. Lincoln's not going to support either one of those back in Springfield while he's president-elect. He's free soil. I should add, what's ironic about the 13th Amendment? What's the 13th Amendment? Yeah, that abolished slavery. Originally proposed to protect slavery. Crittenden's a good example of the Civil War. He had one son that would be a brigadier general in the United States Army. He had another son that would be a major, two-star, major general in the Confederate Army. The Civil War was across family lines. And, we had this, put this on, remember we had Fort Sumter we saw in the video, Bull Run we saw in the video, so we don't need to write this down. We have this in the video, right? Fort Sumter, Bull Run. And so there's Winfield Scott. He was the commander. This is what we have to get done. Scott came up with the plan they would use. It's called the Anaconda. 3 prongs we saw in the video. Attack Richmond and the Heartland. Destroy the Confederate Army. Take the Mississippi River, splitting the Confederacy in 2, and a blockade to keep British manufactured goods out. But it was really slow, and he was attacked for this. The blockade is like a slow strangulation, like a snake. And so they called it the Anaconda Plan. But this would be the plan for victory. And people thought, God, this might take well into 1862. This would be ultimately the plan of victory. And the war would not end until 1865. The Anaconda Plan. So that's a famous cartoon. Scott's great snake. I don't know what Alabama's here, but I really enjoy this. The guy going, ah. So, a couple things in really quick. There's McClellan. And McClellan became the commander of the army. He built, copying Napoleon. Remember I told you it's hard to draw hands. They all copy Napoleon, even when they have photography. Put the hand inside his coat. Napoleon had so many paintings doing this. And he built a great army. And this army will be called the Army of the Potomac. And they did grand reviews. They set up orderly camps. He made the men feel good, and they adored him. They sing songs about him. There's a song called, really popular marching song called Marching Along. And it had a whole verse about how much they loved Little Mac, McClellan. That meant a lot. And the new army would be called the Army of the Potomac. And this is going to be the most important Union army, named for the river nearby. And it's going to have 110,000 men, as you can see from this picture right here. That's the entire army. I like this picture for lots of reasons. Navy blue uniform, royal blue pants. What are the uniforms made out of? Wool, which is perfect for like fighting in Virginia in the summer. And also like this. Doesn't look like he's about 3'8". By the end of the war, they're all going to have big bushy beards. That became the style, both sides. But here's the thing. He took overall command of all forces, but refused to move. And that's the last thing we have to get through today. He refused to, well, not the last thing, I lied. You got to deal with it, I lied. I'm lying about that too, I'm always honest. He refused to move, refused to attack. And here it shows the standoff between Confederate and Union forces. And McClellan thought he knew better than anybody else. And he thought Lincoln was an imbecile for risking the only army that has a chance to save the Union. The Confederacy, the president would be Jefferson Davis. We have to get one thing, you just have to do it. And it's this, King Cotton diplomacy. Jefferson Davis and the Confederates' plan was this. They would embargo Britain and France. They would not trade cotton. We're not going to trade you any cotton. And they thought Britain and France, especially Britain, would be so desperate for cotton for their mills that they would force them to intervene. Remember, the United States won the Revolutionary War because France intervened. It failed so miserably that it's hard to put into terms. Britain had been stockpiling cotton, and they wasted an entire year when they could have been trading for British manufactured goods. Instead, when they finally realized we have to start trading, the United States had built a powerful navy. So, tomorrow, DBQ, if you have any questions, please send it on Teams. I'll try to get it. This is the 9th hour. And on Friday, we will pick this up here.